Welcome to our few moments together on the Parsha. This Shabbos, we have the privilege of reading Parshas Behar. And of course, Parshas Behar begins by telling us about the laws of the Shmittah. And Rashi asks the question, Ma inyan Shmittah etzel Har Sinai? What does Shmittah have to do with Mount Sinai? But we're going to see that it's very relevant to Mount Sinai. In fact, it's very relevant to the very basis of all the mitzvahs of the Torah. The Sefer HaChinuch tells us that despite the fact that there are 613 mitzvahs in the Torah, there are only 6 constant mitzvahs that we are responsible for today, constantly. There are many other mitzvahs that we have to do when the time comes, like Shabbos and putting on tefillin or davening and so on, but there are 6 mitzvahs that are constantly with us, and that should be with us at all times. And the Sefer HaChinuch in his Hakdama tells us what they are. Number 1 is Lahamin Ba'Hashem. Number 2, to faith in Hashem. Number 2 is to not believe that there's anyone besides Hashem that we should have any trust in. And number 3, that we have to explain to ourselves and to others that has Hashem Echad. He's the one and only. In addition, we have a responsibility la'avo es Hashem, to love Hashem, and liyira es Hashem. That's number 5. And the 6th one, of course, is that we're not supposed to go v'lo sasuru acharei levavchem v'acharei einechem. Those, and we're not supposed to go after our hearts or our eyes. Those are the 6 constant mitzvahs. And what does Shmittah have to do with Har Sinai? The Gemara tells us in Ksubis on Daf Samar Zayin, the Gemara tells us a very interesting story. There was a poor man that came to Ravina, and when the poor man came to Ravina, he was asking for some food, and Ravina said to him, "What is the food that you normally eat?" So he said, "Well, I normally eat fat meat, and I drink aged wine." So Ravina said, "Well, I don't have that, but I do have some lentils. Would you be willing to sit down and have a seudah with me and eat lentil soup?" And the man says, "Okay." And after he ate the lentil soup, he got violently ill. In fact, the Gemara even says that he either fainted or died for eating the lentil soup. Now, the Gemara then goes on to tell us that there is almost the exact same story that happened with Rava. A poor man came to Rava and said, "I need alms. I don't have anything to eat." And Rava said to him, "Well, what do you normally eat?" And the man said, "Well, I normally eat fattened chickens and I drink aged wine." And Rava said to him, "Are you not worried about the fact that if you ask people for tzedakah and you're asking to have such a fine meal, isn't that putting a bit too much of a burden on the community? What about caring for others?" And the man said, "Wait a minute. When it comes to tzedakah, I'm not asking them to give me anything of their own. I'm asking them to give me what Hashem gives them. They, after all, get it from Hashem. And Hashem gives them the responsibility to give tzedakah. And therefore, I'm not asking for them. I'm getting it from the kupat tzedakah, which is given to them by Hashem." And just then, Rava's sister walked in. She hadn't seen him, according to the Gemara, in many years, and she heard he was in town, so she brought him a lavish meal with fattened chickens and aged wine. So the Mefarshim on this Gemara asked the question, I don't understand this. Why is it that when it came to Ravina, he was punished almost, as you could say, for eating just lentils, while when it happened with Rava, Rava was rewarded by getting the absolute meal that he asked for? What is going on over here? So the Gemara answers, the Mefarshim answer and say, when it comes to tzedakah, Hashem says that he is going to give each and every person according to the way L'seis lahem, but poseachas yodecha umasbiyah l'chol chai ratzon. Hashem opens His hand and gives to everyone according to His will, and that everyone therefore gets exactly what Hashem wants. It's not a matter of an individual's will. It's what Hashem wants to give it. And He gives it be'ito, not be'itam, but be'ito, to each individual. So the Gemara explains the first beggar did not have bitachon because he was willing to settle for anything instead of saying, nope, I can only eat this. That's a nice midah in a sense. But the Torah is trying to point out that when it comes to bitachon in Hashem, there are no shortcuts. Hashem can promise and give everything. While the second poor man, he was given what he asked for because he had full bitachon in Hashem. As he said, Hashem is the one who gives it, bi'ito, in its right time. That is what Shmittah has to do with Har Sinai. Because the pasuk in later on in Behar says, when it comes to the Shmittah, v'tzivisi es berchosi lochem bashana hashishis, I will command the blessing to you in the 6th year, v'asos es hatvua l'shlosh hashanim, and the produce will increase and give you enough for 3 years. And many of the farmers who spent their time observing the Shmittah noticed that they did not lose out at all. Ma'inyan Shmittah Eitzel Har Sinai is the very fundamentals of what we receive from Hashem, having bitachon, having faith. And we're going through a very rough time, but we, Klal Yisrael, has to have the bitachon that just as we keep the 6 constant mitzvahs and we are aware of the special quality of the Shmittah, that too is going to stand us in good stead. I want to take this opportunity to wish everyone a wonderful good Shabbos, Shabbat Shalom U'Baruch. Enjoy Lag BaOmer coming up on Sunday, and if you get up early enough Friday morning, you can even shave Friday morning, not Thursday night, but Friday morning is certainly permissible. I wish everyone a Shabbat Shalom U'Mevorach.